Yeah, most teachers, most administrators in education don't know that number. I have asked teachers, really good teachers, really famous teachers, who would guess as low as 8%. Well, if you don't think your kids are going to go on to college, you don't have to teach them anything that gets them ready for college, right? But they go on to college, and they quickly discover that, in fact, they're not prepared for college. Because even though we can't get the K-12 math education establishment to listen to us, we actually have authority in the end. The K-12 math education establishment, when kids graduate from high school, kids drop off the face of the earth, and they're done with them, and that's that. But we actually have some say when they come to us. We give them a placement test. And that placement test determines whether or not they can take the college math course that they have to take. And if they're not ready to take it, then they have to take remedial math. And so we have some authority, even if we don't have a say in what's being prepared. So why do we have to give a placement test? Why don't we just teach them arithmetic? Well, we do. We call it remedial math, though. But why do we have to not let them take a credit-bearing course? And that gets back to what we do for a living. Because I've already pointed out that there's only a few of our students that are our students. You know, just a few years ago at Johns Hopkins, if somebody asked us how many math majors we had, we'd look at each other and say, well, did Joe graduate yet? But now there's a few more. But it's mainly because everybody's figured out how easy it is to be a double major. And if you're an engineer, you say, oh, it's another course and I'm a math major too, so they do it. So they're not our students. All those freshmen that take math all across the country, they don't belong to the math department. They are students from some other department where that department has said, you got to go take a math course. So, for example, in Maryland, if you go to a state-supported college, you have to take a math course. But if you're at any school and you're taking freshman math, you're not there because you want to, well, I hate to say that, but it's true. They're not there because they want to be there, generally speaking. They're there because they were sent there by the department that they're majoring in, and they are told they have to take the course. But it's more than that, because that department comes over to the math department and says, we want our students to take this course, and we want you to teach them the following material. Okay? And there's a little negotiating room there, but basically we're a service department for almost all of the students that we have. We're teaching somebody else's students the math that somebody else wants them to learn. And they really want those students to know that material when we're done with them. And the only way we can teach them that material in that year that we have them is they have to come in knowing something. And so that's our expertise. That's what I bring to the table, is I know what students have to know when they start their freshman year. That's what we mathematicians know. So that should be the output for K through 12. At least that's my naive way of looking at this. And I would like to say, look, here it is. Well, in fact, we do say, look, here it is. Because in the state of Maryland, every community college gives the same placement test. And so everybody in Maryland that's semi-conscious should be able to figure out exactly what you have to know in order to be placed in a credit-bearing college math course. You just look at the placement test. And so we pointed that out. Gabriel Martino and I wrote a report to the Eagle Foundation where we looked at alignment in Maryland with K through 12, math, and college, and we found that things weren't aligned very well. And so the Sun newspapers wrote an article about it, and Nancy Grasmick wrote an op-ed. And basically in her op-ed she says explicitly, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, that under no circumstances will Maryland aim to prepare their students for that stupid placement test. Okay? But that stupid placement test is what's going to decide whether your students are taking remedial math or not. Why not pay attention to that and prepare students to pass that test? And that was not a rhetorical question. If anybody knows the answer, I'd like to know. Please, if you know the answer to that, then tell me afterwards, or even interrupt me. Tell me. So, it boggles my mind as to why they don't pay attention to that aspect of things. So, we don't have to say the state won't listen to mathematicians. If they want to listen to somebody, what they do is they go to the professionals. They go to the experts. They don't go to the mathematicians. They go to the schools of education and they say, here are the professors of mathematics education. We should ask them about mathematics education. And you got to admit, it sounds like a good idea. Okay? But if I were a professor of math education, the first thing I would do is I would go over to the math department and say, well, what are you teaching these guys? What do they have to know? But that's not what they do. There are always exceptions. There are always people who do things different. But I would poke fun at them. It's a group that none of them do it. Anyway. So, professors of math education are the experts that Nancy Rasnick and others go to find out what they should be doing in K through 12 math education. And they get listened to. But I want to make the case that even though they're the experts in math education, they're not the people who know what needs to be done. Because the professors of math education don't teach the freshmen. They teach the students who are majoring in education. They teach them the math methods of teaching mathematics. They do not teach them their math. And they never teach an engineer freshman their mathematics. They never teach the pre-meds their mathematics. They teach teachers their mathematics. And so there's this world that lives all on its own. The K through 12 math education establishment is completely isolated from the rest of it. So they don't have to pay any attention to us, which is too bad. But now, I'm not actually alone in this, because as much as I would like to get people to listen to me in K through 12 and say, please produce students who know the following things, let's go and assume there is a high school out there, and there are plenty of high schools out there with really good teachers who really know the math and really know what should be done. They go and they go to their middle school and they say, please teach kids this so that we can prepare kids in high school to go to college. And the middle school just goes, and say, you know, I'm not going to teach that stuff. We've got a calculator, they can use a calculator. And they don't have any authority over it. But let's say we have a good middle school, and they go to the elementary school and say, would you just please teach arithmetic? We really think arithmetic is important. And the elementary school people say, well, we don't think it's that important. You know, we have calculators, it's obsolete, you don't need to learn that. So, where I am in this whole picture is I'm just one piece of a pipeline that's broken at many stages. So I have to produce people for other departments, and I have to take what comes in, but we won't let them in actually if they're not ready. And the high schools have to do the same thing. They're part of this pipeline, but they don't have any authority over the previous part, so that part's broken. In the middle school, it's broken at every stage. So I learned about this broken at all the other stages when I got involved in this. I got started because my kid started off, I live in Baltimore in the middle of the city, and so we started off the kid in private school. And all the private schools that he went to used Turk investigations, which is used here in Frederick County and has almost no content whatsoever, but that's